All right, what's up, everyone? I'm Link, and I'm always joined by my co-host Hogthra. Say hi, Hogthra.
What's up? What's going on, everyone? Hope you're all having a fantastic evening, or morning, or afternoon, or wherever you are.
Yeah, this is the fifth down college football talk you're listening to, episode number 5. I actually have it where it's correct, unlike last week. But a 2021 Week 3 recap of the college football year, and not a lot of big stories, but there were some very interesting games to watch. As we're not in the chaotic section of the season. Like especially when the playoff polls come out, that's where it starts to get like hectic. But we
Yeah,
did,
pretty much.
but we did have a lot of games to talk about. And before we start, I'd like to say I may struggle a bit on the evening games. I did not get to fully watch them as I was attending the Bristol NASCAR race at the time. I did catch up on a lot of the games that were on noon Central, so I should be in there. But yeah. But speaking of let's go ahead and get into some of the games that were on at noon. The first one was a game that proved every Oklahoma hater right when they played Nebraska on the Fox Big Noon game. And a lot of people, even I think you and I were agreeing, how stupid, how Nebraska OU, that should be a primetime game. I don't know,
Yeah,
I kind of take it back. I don't know because that was I don't know, that wasn't a very fun game to watch.
no, it wasn't. It was pretty ugly. I am pretty much not impressed with Oklahoma in the slightest. They let Nebraska back in when they should have closed them out completely.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
especially I will say early, like it was ridiculous how Martinez, especially was just tossing the OU defensive line around. He broke a couple tackles there that should have been sacks and ended up getting them for completions, which very impressive for Nebraska there to make this try to comparative. But what is this? This does say a lot about Oklahoma. I mean, everyone wasn't really impressed by the game against Tulane, especially at the end. Like their potential fraud alert. Last week against West Carolina, it was what it was. This game right here, they're currently probably at a lot of people's top fraud list of 2021 so far.
I mean, there's a lot of teams on that list though that don't look good at all. You could say it could be Ohio State, it could be Oklahoma, it could be Clemson. Those are three of the teams that don't look good at all right now. Especially Oklahoma though. I think Oklahoma is in very real danger of just blowing up hard this season. I could see them losing 3 games.
Yeah, and you look at it, you know, for how hyped it was, the offense under Spencer Rattler, it really hasn't. It sounds, especially a lot of touchdowns being scored, but in terms of total offensive production, they're not even the best in the Big 12. I believe they're not even in I think they're not even in the top 25 across the country in total offensive stats. And the defense that was
So hyped up.
very hyped up defense. It looks like it did as most Oklahoma or Big 12 defenses do, and just not really impress anyone. So
I believe that Nebraska's lower scoring output was more due to bad offense. Their kicker also couldn't hit anything. He missed an extra point and 2 field goals. So
ew,
yeah, he put on a what's his name? The Vikings kicker.
Blair
Dan
Walsh.
Bailey, yeah, him.
Oh, they're talking about the other one. Um, yeah, it just wasn't very impressive for Oklahoma. And Rattler
They're-
had Rattler did have a good game, but he just didn't produce a lot of yards.
Rattler just puts up empty stats. That's my problem with him. He just puts up like these stats that don't do anything.
Like, for as much of a hype machine that he is, I mean, it feels like he's not producing as many yards as a lot of people. I mean, he's only 36th in the country in total yards, in offensive yards.
Speaking of Rattler, I think it's kind of funny how the top two Heisman candidates coming into this season, who are Spencer Rattler and DJ Ucla, are both they've completely fallen off the freaking cliff in terms of Heisman.
Well, like DJ,
favorites.
I mean, he just got hurt.
Oh, did he? Oh yeah, he did, didn't he? Well, he's looked terrible though. He's looked friggin' horrible, which is strange because he looked really good in his first two starts last year. He looked elite against. Look, he tore Notre Dame up. And he looked good the game before that too.
Yeah, I don't know.
This is just a very weird season so far.
Yeah. So, and that's not really wasn't the only weird game that was on during noon. Like noon time was probably had the most interesting matchups and games that really either should have been close, were close, and then just not at all. But I guess the next game I want to talk about, big time matchup: Cincinnati against Indiana.
Since I am a Cincinnati fan, I can go in depth on this.
All right, yeah, because you watched it.
I watched the whole thing.
It was a big Cincinnati game. I think this was their biggest game so far this season.
I have mixed feelings about this game because on the one hand we beat them by I believe 10. It might have been a little more than that, but it was at least by 10.
Y'all had a slow start though.
Yeah, we looked pretty horrible until the very end of the first half. I was pretty convinced that we were going to lose that game too, but they got over the slow start and they won. I believe what's his first name? Michael Penix, is that his name?
Yeah, quarterback for Indiana.
He is completely washed, and I hate saying that because it's not his fault. He tore his ACL, but he's washed. He doesn't have it anymore. It sucks, but he's done, right? He threw 3 picks, I believe, and he looked horrible against Iowa too.
He also had he was only 17 for 40. That's under 50% passing completion, and it just wasn't really such a.
It sucks. Because I like Penix, I do, but he just sucks now. The injury just killed him. It killed his ability.
Yeah, I mean that's honestly. I mean that's kind of sad. I mean last year he was so fun to watch. Because it's Indiana. No one expects this. They're a basketball school, and then it was very fun. It was to watch it, but now it's just kind of. I don't know. It's just not. I don't know how to describe it, but
he's washed.
Yeah, washed. Let's use that word. Then again, how do you feel about Cincinnati so far? They had 3 games. This was their first test game. Do you think that this team may still have a shot at going undefeated for the rest of the year?
Yes, because the AAC is pretty weak this year. Notre Dame's the biggest game of the season, though, outright, inarguably. Notre Dame is obviously ranked a little lower than I would have preferred them to be, which rightfully so, as much as I hate to say it, because I want them to be ranked as high as possible. But obviously, they're not that good this year. They had 2 close calls with Toledo and Florida State, which are 2 very bad teams. So I think we can beat Notre Dame. As long as we get off to a decent start, I do think we beat them because they don't look good against anybody. So that's my opinion of it. But I like what I'm seeing, but I need to see better starts. Really as simple as that.
Yeah, we'll touch on the Notre Dame game in a little bit. You just have some brief thoughts about it. But we'll keep with the noon games. We'll talk about a game that was very interesting. And, especially going out of the going out of halftime, it didn't look like, oh, it's going to be. West Virginia, Virginia Tech, this is the first time they played each other since. It's been a while. But, rocking crowd, it's, this is an old rivalry game brought back. These teams, I think, their campuses are only, only 2 hours away from each other. West Virginia got off to a very good start. And then, I don't know what happened, but they almost, blew it within that time span.
Yep. I did not watch a single second of that game, so I don't really know anything about it.
It was scary. They were going into the fourth quarter, right? Up 24. It was 7-27 at halftime, or not halftime, but early in the third. And then Virginia Tech scores 14 unanswered on them, and they almost merely won that game because there was a fumble. No, there wasn't a fumble. There was a late touchdown in the fourth, and then West Virginia there was an interception by West Virginia, and then Virginia Tech got the ball back, and literally, they had the ball at the West Virginia 17, just needing to score a touchdown to tie the game and then an extra point to get it. And then, they kind of shut down. Turnover on downs. And then that ended the game. So, West Virginia gets a win over 1500 Virginia and almost blows it. So, pretty... I had West Virginia winning because I was, I was high on them because they played a good game against Maryland. They played a good game against Long Island, but I feel like that was, you can't really base it off that.
By the way, speaking of Virginia Tech for a second, if Virginia Tech lost that way to WVU, how big of a fraud is North Carolina?
That's a good question. I mean, I wasn't high on Virginia Tech especially after the Middle Tennessee game. People, especially at the spot they were given, at 15th in the country, I thought that was undeserved. I mean, you beat North Carolina at home with a rocking crowd. Okay, good for you. You managed to beat MTSU by 3 touchdowns. Okay, cool, good for you. And now this is their first road game of the year. They have to go to play West Virginia in hostile territory. It's a big rivalry game, and it reflected off that. But so West Virginia, even despite winning, they don't get into the top 25, which that must suck. But next game up, Michigan State played Miami. And they sure played Miami.
I didn't watch a single moment in that game either.
Just know that Walker III just ran all over him. Thorne had 4 touchdowns for Michigan State. Their offense was very good all day. Miami's just not so much. They had, if I remember correctly, 4 turnovers, 2 picks, 2 fumbles, 2 interceptions. Just King has continued to just not look absolutely impressive. I don't know. All the games he's played, other than the one against Appalachian State, he's kind of looked, I don't know, just not very impressed.
I'm not either. Didn't De'Aaron King get hurt?
He did. He did against Alabama. I remember that. And I think if I remember correctly in the Michigan State game, he did go down. But I think that was late. Actually, no, it wasn't. He played the entire game. But yeah, I think he's questionable for the upcoming game against whoever they play. But yeah, this knocks Miami out of the top 25. For a team that had so much, had very high expectations on him. They were ranked number 14th in week 1, and then you're looking at week 3, and they're already out of the poll. They're out of the rankings at 1-2. And
I mean,
that one game against Appalachian State, they
it was
barely
horrible.
held
Yeah,
on
it
to
was
win.
horrible.
Yeah, like what does that say about? I mean, you want to talk about a fraud? I mean, you got to talk about Miami. I mean, that was just. It sucks. Because oh man, this is gonna be a team that finally beats Clemson. Either the one that will at least might match Clemson in skill. Think about that for a second. Literally every team, except for Clemson, right? Every team that was ranked or in the top 25 in the preseason are either out or barely in. UNC and Clemson are the only two teams that are in the rankings at 9 and 21st. Boston College and Wake Forest may get in there because they're both undefeated. But Miami, they're 2-1. Pittsburgh lost their chance after losing to West Michigan last week. Virginia Tech.
Oh, that game was horrible, and Tennessee is really bad.
Yeah, it's just Florida State's 0-3, which I didn't really have any big expectations, but yeah, it's just not very good year for the ACC again. As it looks like it's going to be another year where Clemson is going to have to carry them to a playoff spot, depending on how things fall. If they lose again, then yeah, I don't know. We have a lot of teams I say that because we have a lot of teams that are undefeated that don't look impressive at all. And that could manage, Clemson could get their way up the ranking. I have a feeling that could happen. We'll talk about the Clemson game in a second because, they also didn't look very impressive. There's just, I don't know, I guess that's the theme for this week. Just not very impressive looking teams that, we thought would be impressive. You talk about, Ohio State, right? They played a game against Tulsa. Tulsa had almost as many yards as Ohio State, and Ohio State won 41-20. They're with that's with 428 yards in passing. I think Ohio State is the top 5 worst. I think so far in terms of total defense are at the bottom.
Defense looks really bad, and their offense looked pretty bad against Tulsa too. They were barely beating them. It took them until the very last minutes of the fourth quarter.
Yep. Okay, I was right. Yeah, they're bottom 25, 471 yards in total defensive average. Not very good looking for the Ohio State defense. And I have everything to compliment about their offense. I think they have, like I said, they have good pieces at offense. C.J. Stroud. And the very good receiving core. But now, that defense is going to be holding them back a lot. But we'll see. It's not going to show this week because they're playing Akron. But who
knows? They almost lost to Tulsa.
Yeah,
who knows? Honestly,
but Akron's you got to try to lose.
Tulsa looked horrible. They lost to UC Davis. I'm pretty sure.
That is true. So I don't know.
Oh, we might have to actually put OSU on upset alert against Akron.
They're definitely I feel like they're another kind of big fraud school. Especially when you get down the line where they have to play Penn State. It may even not even start Penn State. It may actually be the game against Rutgers where they get beaten, but I don't know. I really don't want to say much about that game so far, but let's not get too far ahead of ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the big game of the week, right? Alabama, Florida. In a game that, we both had Bama winning. And I did say the swamp will play a key effect in the game. And it actually did play a pretty big effect because I think the game was, we were both kind of in shock on how close the game was.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, we all, when we play Florida, and I've said this a million times before, they're never blowout games. it always goes down to the last minute. It's always been with Florida, right? That's why I prefer playing Georgia because we usually beat the crap out of them, right? They're not opponents that I generally take seriously because we always beat Georgia no matter what. With backup quarterbacks or starting quarterbacks, we'd probably beat them with a third stringer. But with Florida, they seem to just always play their best against us. And this game was pretty much a repeat of the SEC championship. We were blowing them out early. We were up 21-0. Then they come roaring back, and then we're in a fight, for our life the rest of the game. So that's kind of what happened, right? Overall, I am happy that the team played as well as they did when it mattered, right? They stopped at 2-point conversion, which was huge. Florida was like one play away from winning this game. So I'm very impressed that we played when it mattered.
That second half was very fun to watch. Like, it was...
it was, yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely, because there was that, Alabama couldn't stop that huge Florida drive, like, starting the second quarter. And, like, they came back with a touchdown. Florida responded with a touchdown. Alabama field goal. And then another big Florida drive for a touchdown. Alabama had the punt, and then, yeah.
Yeah, it was a great game. I mean, I wish it wasn't close, but it was a great game nonetheless.
Yeah, I mean, Bryce Young had a pretty good. He's yet to have an interception so far this year.
He looks really good.
Yeah,
he looks exactly as advertised, which I was hoping for. Bryce Young was really hyped up. I think he actually might be your best recruit ever in terms of 247.
Do you think he may have any sort?
I think he's the highest ranked. Yeah, I think he might be better than Tua, if all things are said and done.
Do you think at this point now in the season, do you think that potentially, like, you look at other quarterbacks, like high-ranked, highly classed quarterbacks like Rattler, Howell, and all of them, C.J. Stroud, do you see, can you make some sort of argument that Bryce Young may be and could be the one that could surpass him in, like, something like Heisman voting? Considering how
I think you can say yes simply because the others, i.e., like Rattler, like the big quarterback Heisman hype coming into this season was Sam Howell, Spencer Rattler, and DJ Ucla, and all three of them have not looked that good. Especially Ucla, he's looked horrible. Rattler looks inconsistent. Howell had a horrible game against a pretty bad Virginia Tech team. So. There's just, for whatever, and I don't think I've ever seen this, the Heisman favorites just all collapsed. They just all look bad, and it's pretty weird. I don't think I've ever seen that before, but that's how it looks like to me. So I think by sheer process of elimination, I think Young's in the top 3 right now. I think he has to be.
I think Walker III actually he may get some Heisman, like, not hype, but, like, he'll actually get some, like, hey, maybe, like, a dark horse Heisman candidate right there, depending on if his production continues to stay the way it is, because he's already almost 500 yards in 3 games.
Yeah.
Like, he's been very good. Also, fun fact, he's from Tennessee, Arlington, Tennessee. So, yeah, just another example of how the Vols can't recruit in their state, and they're missing out on people like Walker III. I digress. Let's continue on with our next game. A game that, I commented on this, right? This is like a pretty, especially against any like highly ranked ACC team, against Georgia Tech, it's usually some sort of trap game in sorts, right? And it almost was. I mean, if you're the perspective of it was, because Clemson only puts up 14 points against Georgia Tech. It was. I did not actually watch this game, but I did see a couple.
Well, it did cause a lot of problems because it was delayed by lightning for about an hour, and it basically caused all the other schedules to be pretty bad.
I did not know that. I think it's probably from that same rain that was coming through Bristol, but whatever. Um, yeah, just not a very good Clemson game. I mean,
Now, as I said earlier, Ucla looks horrible. He looks absolutely horrible.
yeah, I mean, yeah. I will say, Justin Ross had a pretty good game. He had 7 catches, 61 yards. Good for him. Yeah, Shipley was the one really carrying that Clemson offense to a really it was kind of a struggle for Clemson that game. Like you can just look at it, just sometimes I just couldn't get anything going, or just like, you know. And then there was that safety at or no, I'm sorry, that was not I do not actually like I said, I didn't see the game. I was busy at the time, but I was about to say something about the safety, except that was actually a very strategic move there, just to run out time. But they almost didn't. But yeah, very struggling Clemson game, and that it affected them in the standings. But
It did, yeah.
Yeah. Let's continue now to our next game. What was I guess the marquee matchup of the evening. Auburn facing off against Penn State in what was a football game, I assume. I did not actually watch this, like I said.
A very good game.
Very
A
good.
very good game. It was pretty much your standard good game. It wasn't a blowout. It was just back and forth. And Penn State ended up winning. They were the better team. And obviously Penn State is number 6 now, so they jumped up pretty big. But I think it's a well-deserved win. No screwery happening. Good for Penn State.
It was competitive all day. Or all game.
It was, yes.
That's good for that. And, it's so nice to see Happy Valley back. They did the Penn State whiteout. Very fun to watch. Probably very fun to be at. Yeah, I got really nothing else. I mean, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about Penn State jumping up after this win. I mean, they played an Auburn team. They haven't beat anyone this year. I mean, the only reason their offense looked impressive so far was because they played Akron and Alabama State. And they played them at home, and they only beat them by 8 points. Did they deserve jumping up that many spots? Because I'm pretty sure.
Who, Penn State?
Yeah.
Yeah, they went from 10 to 6, I think. I could be wrong though.
Yeah, I mean they jumped Clemson. They jumped Ohio State, I'm pretty sure.
They did, yeah. They did.
They jumped Texas A&M and jumped Cincinnati. I don't know about
that. That game against Iowa they're playing a couple weeks is going to be gigantic.
Yeah. It's going to be a mess, probably. It's going to be a nice...
Or that very well could be a rematch of the Big Ten. That could very well be a rematch, too, in the Big Ten title game.
Yeah, we may actually see it twice. Next game up, we'll talk about Arizona State BYU. This is a funny matchup.
This game was perfect. I was up till 3 a.m. watching it. This game was friggin' perfect. Did you see that play that the BYU running back made?
Which play are you talking about?
The one where he tomahawk chopped the defensive back and made him fumble.
He did.
So what happened was, this is one of the weirdest plays I think I've ever seen, because we had 2 turnovers on one play. The quarterback throws an interception, right? And the defensive back is running back to the end zone. It looks like he's going to get a pick 6. But then the running back comes out of nowhere and tomahawk chops the ball from behind him and causes the defensive back to fumble. And then the quarterback recovers the fumble, meaning BYU still has the ball 69 yards back, and they have to start their entire drive all over again.
Huh? Yeah, that sounds. Well, that sounds
Yeah,
like a play.
I thought like I was really tired because it was like 2 a.m. I genuinely thought my eyes were like playing tricks on me when I saw that play at first because it was so stupid that it couldn't possibly have been real.
Yeah.
But like, no, it was real. It was a fantastic game. BYU actually won on a 4th and goal pass from their backup quarterback.
Oh, I just watched that
starter got hurt.
play. I just
Yeah.
found the clip of it. Oh, that was a dang. That was a good play. But
Very good play. Reminds me of DK Metcalf running down Buda Baker in the NFL.
yeah, it was weird. BYU just like they couldn't convert on third down. But probably what killed Arizona State was like how many penalties they had.
Yeah, BYU Stadium played a gigantic part in that game. They were really loud.
How many like false starter?
Arizona State had 3 false starts in a row at one point.
Wow.
Yeah,
Dang.
They were loud. I don't know how, considering that stadium's pretty small, but they were really freaking loud.
I don't wonder the size. I mean, that may not.
That's what impressed me. Yeah. Like, I don't get how there was that much noise in that stadium to cause 3 false starts in a row. It was all due to the noise. Like,
I'm pretty
after
sure,
the game,
I'm pretty sure. Like, I forgot the name of it, but like their stadium. But I'm pretty sure it holds like 60,000.
I remember correctly, the Arizona State head coach and players after the game said they couldn't even hear what frickin' plays they were calling because of how loud it was in there.
Yeah, and really the big takeaway from this is
BYU looks legit to me.
BYU is the fact that BYU actually looks maybe they're going to be a New Year's Six buster.
It could be. Yeah, they're 15 now. They're going to only keep going up, it looks like. Because they don't... Also, I noticed that the 3 teams they've beaten so far are all Pac-12 South teams.
Yeah, and 2 of them are ranked.
Exactly. 2 of them were ranked, too.
So that's, like, even more impressive.
Guess who BYU gets at the end of the season, though?
They play USC.
Yep, they play USC in the Coliseum.
Yeah. I'd say that game and the game against Baylor are, like, probably the biggest games on the rest of the BYU schedule. Because Baylor's still undefeated. They took care of Kansas this past weekend, and they're currently, like, spouting the best in terms of production offense in the country. Actually, no, I'm sorry, they're third in overall yardage. Ole Miss.
Who's number 1?
Ole Miss.
And play anybody worth a damn, though.
I mean, they played Tulane and Old
Louisville.
They play Alabama either this week or next week.
It's next week. They don't play them. We get Southern Miss this week.
Well, good luck with that. It's going to be a tough game to watch.
It will be. Yeah, it'll be hard.
Speaking of tough games, UCLA had a tough game against Fresno State in which they lost. The train is over. They go to week 0. They beat Hawaii. You were high on them against LSU. And immediately after that LSU game, they took a week off, and they just lost to Fresno.
I'm going to be honest with you, that doesn't look like a horrible loss now. Considering how good Fresno's looked, they beat the crap out of UConn, and then...
That doesn't say anything. I mean, they almost beat Oregon. They
almost beat Oregon, exactly. That looks like a pretty good team. That's the thing. Fresno looks like a really good team to me. Now, to be fair, UCLA is not out of the race yet, right? They suffered an upset loss. That's okay. It happens. But they have to win out. And I think it's possible.
There's a couple of really fun teams to watch in the Mountain West, I have to say. San Diego State, they've been very good. Like they beat Utah in triple overtime.
They did, yes.
Utah State currently has the second best offense in the country, and they beat Washington State. I'm pretty sure. Quote me if I haven't looked actually at the numbers, but I'm pretty sure based on muscle memory alone, the Mountain West has a better record against the Pac-12 than the Pac-12 has against the Mountain West. They are like head to head.
I'm pretty sure, yeah, they have been, especially because you have BYU.
Because Fresno is 1-1 against them. Utah State beat Washington State. San Diego State beat Arizona, and Utah. Hawaii, they lost, so that doesn't count. I'm pretty sure Nevada, they beat Cal in the first week.
They did, yes.
Is there any other ones I'm remembering?
You didn't remember BYU being 3-0.
Yeah, but they're not Mountain. Well, they used to be Mountain West, but not anymore. They're independent.
Oh yeah, they're independent. You're right.
They're about to be Big 12. Imagine that though. Like, if you're the Big 12, you got to be grinning on your you gotta have a big grin on your face.
Absolutely, BYU smashing everything. Gotta be pretty.
BYU
fun.
having the two hottest, probably the two hottest teams in the group of 5 / independents, Cincinnati and BYU, and then Houston, and then UCF. I mean, they're still they're still winning, but like they're not.
I'm gonna drop a bomb here. I think this year's BYU team is better than last year's. I really do. I do. And that team went 11-1.
Yeah.
I think this team's better.
They don't play Coastal this year, so they don't
they do play a harder schedule though. That's the thing. But they've passed it with flying colors so far.
Yeah, last year was kind of weird because they were independent and they had no conference affiliations like Notre Dame does. So they kind of had to just schedule whoever was willing to play them, which was no one. I mean, you had Coastal Carolina.
Which is why nobody took them seriously.
Yeah. Now that they have their schedule back to normal and they're actually playing teams, and they're getting on a lot of people's radar, but
They have their matchup against South Florida and then at Utah State, which could be a trap game.
Like I said, Utah State has they have one of the hottest offenses in the country now. And like I said,
BYU's defense is very good though, so we're gonna have to see what happens. That's saying a lot
though. Like the Mountain West is overall a better conference in terms of football than the Pac-12.
Yeah, I like Nevada too because they have what's his name, the quarterback Carson Beck or whatever. He looks really good. Obviously, if you have SDSU, you have
Boise.
You have Boise doesn't look that great. They're
San Diego State. I mean, you have Fresno. You got Utah State, Wyoming.
Crap. You know what I just remembered?
What?
Baylor and BYU might be a top 25 matchup that we're gonna have to watch.
Yeah.
That'll be funny. That'll be really funny.
That'd be fun to watch. But that's about it. Oh wait, it's not because I'm forgetting one. Yeah, the Vanderbilt football game happened again this weekend we returned home after a triumphant victory in Colorado. But we still lost. Yeah. Ken Seals didn't really play that good. It was competitive, and then it got out of hand as soon as halftime hit, and couldn't really do anything after that.
I will say this: congratulations to Vanderbilt for getting a win. Unfortunately, you do get Georgia tomorrow at 12 sharp, which is good because at least you'll be able to not remember it when you inevitably get drunk later on. But
we were horrible on. We were horrible on third down, 5 for 18, but somehow went 4 for 4 on fourth down conversions.
Yeah, sometimes you have to struggle to beat Colorado State.
I don't know. I can't really. We're playing Georgia, I guess.
Who lost to an FCS team, keep in mind.
Yeah. Yes, I know. Sad. But, all right, let's stop talking. I think there's no other games.
Also, I forgot to mention, Arizona lost to North Arizona, which is an FCS school.
They have, the longest losing streak in college football right now.
They do, yes. I think they've lost 17 games in a row.
Wow, and that was with last year. They had a reduced schedule. I think they only played 5 games.
Yeah, they look like complete bums. Like bums. That's what it's unbelievable. They're horrible. I knew Kevin Sumlin was a bad coach, and now this idiot that they have in charge now was hired as a nepotist hire because he was the Patriots quarterback coach last year. Cam Newton looked great, obviously.
Jesus Christ. Well, let's see. Let's see if the polls look great for. Let's see if they got stuff right. That was a horrible transition, but let's roll with it. So, the AP Top 25 polls, not a lot of huge movement. Bama, Georgia, Oregon goes up to 3. OU drops to 4th after a not really impressive victory. Iowa stays at 5th. Penn State, we mentioned this before.
Iowa, not Iowa State.
I said Iowa.
Oh, you said Iowa State. I heard the state.
Oh, well, I'm sorry. But Penn State, like we said, went up to 6th. I don't know if I necessarily agree with that. A&M 7th, Cincinnati 8th, Clemson went down to 9th. Ohio State drops 1 spot to 10th. Florida, now you're gonna laugh when I tell you this. So Florida has not moved at all.
They're still at 11.
They're still at 11.
Oh my god, I'm happy. It means their resume is better.
Yeah, they stay at 11th. Notre Dame is still 12th.
Well, they got a lot to prove this week because they're playing a ranked matchup. They're playing Wisconsin at Soldier Field.
Ole Miss has rocketed up to 13th. Iowa State 14th. BYU went up 8 spots. They're 15th in the country. Arkansas had a good. They played. Pretty sure they played some team. Georgia Southern. All right, they played Georgia Southern. Won. They went up 4 spots. Coastal Carolina dropped a spot because they played Buffalo and they had a close loss or almost a close loss to Buffalo. Wisconsin stays at 18th. Michigan is now at 19th. Michigan State 20th. UNC still in the top 25. 21st. Fresno is at 22nd. They're currently losing right now against UNLV.
Who is Fresno?
Yeah.
Oh god, UNLV looks pretty bad too, don't they?
Yeah. Auburn only dropped down 1 spot, 23rd. UCLA dropped 11 spots, 24th, and Kansas State rounds it out 25th. A lot of pretty interesting teams getting receiving votes. TCU has the most votes received. That's outside the top 25. Liberty. Virginia Tech has more. Do you know what's weird? Virginia Tech has more votes than when West Virginia, a team that beat them.
Because everybody still hypes on Virginia Tech. That's why.
And it's not even by a close margin. West Virginia had 14 votes. Virginia Tech had 52. Wasn't even close. But yeah, teams that dropped out. Virginia Tech, Arizona State, Miami. Oklahoma State's actually receiving votes. For some reason, Baylor has not received any votes, and they've had 3 they like I said, they have one of the best offensive the best offenses in the country. They beat whoever they beat. They're not receiving any votes, and also Boston College is not receiving any votes, and they've I'm sorry, they have 9 votes.
3-0.
Yep. Boston College 3-0. Wake Forest is 3-0. They're playing
Clemson.
Right now they're playing Virginia. They're gonna win. They're up by 20 with under 5 minutes or under 6 minutes to go. They'll win that. Wow. Oh, Liberty is actually going toe to toe with Syracuse. Okay. We need a matchup between Liberty and BYU.
That'd be pretty funny.
You want to talk about holy war?
Yeah. Well, remember, Notre Dame never made a return trip to Provo like they promised they would.
Oh. Yeah.
They scheduled a series with BYU and they never went to Provo, even though they promised they would.
There's 4 undefeated independent schools. Army, who I'm not actually watching any of their games, but they're undefeated. BYU, Liberty, Notre Dame.
But yeah.
While the rest of the independent schools are UMass, who's winless, UConn, who's winless, and New Mexico State, who has 1 win.
Oh, UConn might be. I think UConn's the worst team in FBS this year. I really do.
Arizona I would.
Arizona might be worse, maybe.
You also could say UMass. Because
I mean, yeah, UConn looks bad. They lost to Holy Cross. They lost to Fresno State, and I don't know the other team they played.
they played Army this week.
Blown up by Army too, didn't they?
And it wasn't close.
Anyway, how about we move on to the next section?
Yeah, I guess that's the last thing we got to talk about this week because there's no major firings, so we don't have to talk about that. But we will talk about our last section. We're already like pretty at that. We're almost at that point where we get wrap things up. But we'll discuss some predictions and whatnot. So first game we'll talk about really the only game really getting concerned about in the noon slot is Notre Dame, Wisconsin, which should be a very fun game. Remember last time Wisconsin was in the big noon slot at home?
Oh God,
So that could tell you a lot.
that game was still one of the worst things I've ever
And
seen.
hey, look, they're playing Notre Dame, a team who's 12th, and I'm pretty sure they were 12th when they played Penn State. So this is working out to be such a great matchup.
Yeah, you know what's even worse is at Soldier Field.
What?
It's at Soldier Field in Chicago. Did you know that?
No.
It is. It's at Soldier Field. It's not a home and home. It's a Soldier Field game. To be fair, though, this will be the only good football game played in Soldier Field all year.
Wah, 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 wah.
I'm sorry, Bears fans, but it needed to be said. It needed to be said.
Anyway, what's your thoughts on this? Like, who do you got winning? Why? I think Notre Dame is just very unimpressive. Like, last week was
This game's hard to call. It
last
really
week,
is.
Here's the thing: Notre Dame. That was their biggest win last week. Was against, Purdue, and they only beat them by I think 14 points. The thing is, man,
I'm not impressed with these teams. Wisconsin doesn't look that good either.
Like Wisconsin, I definitely think they do have the advantage when it comes to rushing and their pass rushing. Other than that, like, I don't know. It's not really.
All right, Who's favored this game, by the way? Do we know? I'll check.
Wisconsin. The spread is Wisconsin by 6.5.
Give me Wisconsin. I think they get the win here.
You think they're gonna win? You think this is the game that the Notre Dame train falls and dies?
I do, yes. Notre Dame's playing a team that's not garbage. So, yeah, I think this is where it falls off.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I think Wisconsin, especially with I'm very impressed by the rushing attack. But just like everything else, like, I don't know, Mertz, he hasn't thrown a touchdown all season. I mean, that could, they really need to work out the passing game and get some actually, get him some worthy statistics. Yeah, I'm gonna give Wisconsin the win here in what should be probably a 10-7 bowl game. Because we can't have any good things on Big Noon. But yeah.
I'll admit though they've put on some pretty good games on Big Noon so far this year. In terms of like matchup wise, now in terms of game quality wise, hit or miss. But in terms of like purely based on what matchups, they've done pretty good.
Yeah. Well, okay. Oregon, Ohio State was the exception to the rule, but the other ones, Michigan. Literally, the first Big Noon game was Nebraska, Illinois.
That was week 0. That doesn't count. That was week 0.
Okay, week 1 was Wisconsin and Penn State.
Yeah, I'm talking about like in terms of like potential matchups. I mean, not in terms of the actual game outcome.
And then last week with Nebraska OU.
That game that wasn't a good game either. But they did have OSU, Oregon, and at least there's going to be a good game this week too.
Yeah, hopefully. What hopefully should be a good game. If it's not, then I guess we'll cancel Big Noon or something. Next game, I kind of want to talk about LSU is playing Mississippi State. It's something that you probably don't expect. Okay, these two teams aren't ranked, but these two teams. I mean, I think are gonna have very fun football. Last year, remember Mississippi State beat them, and that was like the first major upset of the year because I'm pretty sure that was the first game between the schools. Who you got winning this one?
Give me Mississippi State.
Yeah, especially.
I do not like Ed Orgeron as a coach. I never have. I called it in 2020 after they won their ring. He was a coach that was pretty much entirely reliant on outside forces. Joe Brady did way more for that team than he did. Ditto with Joe Burrow. Now that they're both gone, they've been exposed pretty hard.
All right, then. Yeah, I'll give you, especially at home. Mississippi State. I think they're gonna get a really good win here. As Mike Leach is gonna there's probably gonna be 500 yards. By the quarterback from Mississippi State. Who is he, by the way? No, they got a new QB this year.
Yeah, because KJ Costello graduated.
Yeah, Will Rogers. There he is, He already has 1,000 yards of the season. He's only 5th in the country though. Anywho, next game on the list that we should probably talk about: Texas Tech, Texas. This is the ABC.
I don't see anything too special about this. I do think Texas wins barely because I don't think they're that good of a team, and they got blown out by a rebuilding Arkansas squad.
All right, yeah. I'll give it to Texas Tech. They've been good, and last year was shenanigans anyway. That was a shenanigans game, and I think Texas Tech recovers and they get a win. And then the Texas Tech hype machine's gonna rise and fall very quickly because I think the next week they play against West Virginia. Yeah. Next game. Let's talk about. I'm sorry, I'm just not looking at the schedule. Texas A&M Arkansas. This is actually there we go.
This might be game of the week. It's a ranked matchup too, which is huge. That's I believe that's on CBS. Am I correct?
Yeah.
I'll be watching that, and honestly, give me Arkansas.
Ooh.
I think they pull the upset. I'm really high on Arkansas. I said this at the beginning of the year. I love what Sam Pittman is doing with that program. I love it. So I do think they win.
You know what? Texas A&M. I mean, they've when you look at their schedule, they haven't really played anyone. I mean, Colorado would be the exception, and they didn't really play well against Colorado, right?
No, they were horrible. They won 10-7, and A&M's quarterback is out. They're playing their backup.
Yeah. I think A&M can pull out the win here. And try to hold on to that situation they have because they're continuously falling in the rankings despite them winning. I think this could be a game that can hey, quit unnecessarily putting us right behind Penn State. But next game we'll talk about Iowa State Baylor. Who do you have winning that? Because this is a big upset alert for Iowa State.
Yeah, honestly, give me Baylor. Give me Baylor.
Yeah,
Iowa State does not impress me. Now, admittedly, that might just be because of how good Iowa is, because they've crushed every team they've faced like a tin can. Because their defense is nasty.
Yeah, Iowa State's. Here's the thing. This is a classic matchup of one of the best defenses in the country against one of the best offenses in the country. It's
yep.
It's such a man. It's gonna be a fun match to watch. But
wish that was a ranked game. Baylor should be ranked.
But here's the thing about the Iowa State passing attack. I don't think they're we're just passing.
Brock Purdy has looked horrible this year so far, and he was hyped up too. Yeah. He was supposed to be one of the best quarterbacks in the country. He's looked horrible. I don't think he's even thrown a touchdown yet.
I think this is going to be an early Big Ten example of a Big Ten shootout. high scoring shenanigans. And I do agree. I think Baylor will get the win here. But,
I agree. I do not like Iowa State this year. They've already been underperforming pretty badly. They looked horrible against Northern Iowa, and then they got crushed by Iowa.
And last week they played last week. Because I don't think we touched on Iowa State. I'm pretty because they played no one. I'm pretty sure. UNLV. Okay, yeah. Next game, and what should be meme bowl meme game number 1 so far this season. What actually that's not true. But probably the biggest meme game of the week. Undefeated Rutgers playing undefeated Michigan in the undefeated hour of 2:30 on undefeated ABC. This should be an
I
interesting
cannot
one.
believe that Rutgers is on a freaking ABC game.
Yeah, look what I'm very, very impressed right now.
Rutgers' defense looks really good.
Yeah, but
Very,
unfortunately,
very good.
they're losing one of their cornerbacks due to a paintball incident or something.
You know what? Honestly, give me Rutgers. I think they do it. They were a missed field goal away from doing it last year. I think they pull it off this year.
Ooh, yeah, that's that. This is one of those games where Michigan, this is one of the games Michigan's on a high pedestal. They're on ABC in the big house. Yeah, this would be an excellent. This would be such a win. This is lining up for another Jim Harbaugh led Michigan loss.
Yeah, just the way it's set up. Michigan always loses these types of games. They don't win big games ever. This is a big game for both of these teams, but especially for Rutgers. Because if you win this game, you're ranked. Period. End of story.
Yeah. I don't think they're receiving votes. It's weird. There's a lot of undefeated, Power 5 schools that just straight up aren't getting votes, but Virginia Tech somehow, is getting the third most votes out of, the AP voters. It's weird. I guess next game talk about UCLA Stanford. Does UCLA come back and bounce back this week?
Yes.
You agree? All right, I agree too because it's Stanford, but I don't know. I don't think the world's ready for a Stanford playoff run. But
that'll be. Didn't they got blown up by Kansas State too?
Yeah, but they've recovered since they clobbered USC and Vanderbilt.
They didn't clobber Vanderbilt, did they?
On the road. What? Yeah.
Really? How bad was that loss?
Against Vanderbilt?
How bad was the loss against Stanford?
It was I think it was by 2 or 3 touchdowns.
Oh, wow, that could be worse. Yeah, Stanford does not impress me one bit. I think UCLA gets back easily.
All right. Another game that I honestly have a big upset target on, West Virginia, Oklahoma.
Give me Oklahoma by 3 points.
Honestly, this is going to be another Big 10 showdown or Big 12 style showdown. Both these teams have very good offensives. But, under the at this point in the season, Oklahoma does not lose. That's shenanigans. Losing at week 4? What? That doesn't make any sense. They lose week 8 against Kansas State or something. Yeah, I give Oklahoma the win here.
Barely. I give them win by the skin of their teeth. If this game was at West Virginia, I'd be picking West Virginia.
Yeah. I think that is the last. I'm pretty sure that's the last game we comment or have any.
What is the ABC game for tomorrow? Do we know?
That's West Virginia, Oklahoma.
No, at night. Wait, that's it?
Yeah.
Oh, that good of a game.
Other than you want to talk about Tennessee, Florida, does Tennessee finally get the win in the swamp?
No.
No.
No. I have Florida winning that game by about 4 touchdowns. I have them winning by 28.
Kansas, Duke.
That'll be fun. Give me Duke.
What are these matchups? Wyoming, UConn? What did we sim too far?
Wait, that's an actual thing.
Yeah, undefeated Wyoming versus winless Yukon. I don't know. It's weird.
Give me Wyoming, I guess. Let's go. These are the real matchups our fans want to talk about.
Do you know CBS has 2 games tomorrow?
Who? Who's the other one?
Boise State, Utah State. I couldn't believe it either.
When?
Noon.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Wait a minute. That means they can't. Oh, wait. So that game's on at noon, and then they have A&M Arkansas at 3:30 or 2:30 for you.
Yeah.
That better not count as their primetime slot, or I'm gonna be so pissed off.
I guess I don't know. I guess they just didn't really have anything to show on CBS. Like, hey, let's just flex one of these games on. When's the last time a Mountain West or a conference?
I don't even remember. I don't even remember the last time there was a college football team from a non-SEC school on there. I can't even remember. That must have been years
Army,
and
Navy.
years ago. Oh, you're right. That's on CBS.
But no,
so is the Sun Bowl, I think.
But not counting any special not counting bowl games. When's the last time the Mountain West school got a cable slot on ABC or Fox or something? I don't remember.
Genuinely don't know.
I don't know because usually all their games are on CBS Sports Network or probably get on. I don't think their conference championships on CBS. I may be wrong on that, but yeah, this so weird. But I think that's gonna wrap it up for this episode. This is a fun recording. Hopefully,
I'm drunk, by the way.
Yeah, he's probably could tell, but yeah, that was the big surprise. Thank you for sticking to the end and listening to this episode. I'm Link. You can follow me at It's Link Season SZN on Twitter. You can follow Walker at Meme Man, followed by whatever numbers he gets, but you'll find it. I think that's gonna wrap up the episode. Thank you for listening.
See y'all later.